If you find yourself at the end of the year wondering why you didn't do what you said you wanted to do way back at the beginning of the year, it may be because you did not make a fundamental choice before you started taking action. A fundamental choice is a way of living your life. It's something you can embody, and it's not dependent on circumstances or willpower. This is way better than trying to force yourself to stick with a resolution, because resolutions hardly ever work, for one thing. And for another thing, making a fundamental choice totally shifts your orientation and the way you see yourself living your life. When you make a fundamental choice, it informs every other choice you make in your life. It lets you step into the new experience of yourself and make choices from that perspective. This makes it so much easier to make your everyday choices. For example, the fundamental choice to not be a smoker is a way of being, not a way of quitting. It's an identity, and this identity helps you make choices every day, like not buying cigarettes, or not going to the places where you used to smoke cigarettes, or being grossed out by the smell of cigarette smoke, and basically not being a smoker, so not smoking. Fundamental choices are a basis for the way you live your life, and they're not dependent on circumstances or willpower. There are people who have made the choice to get married, but they haven't made the fundamental choice to have a connected, long-lasting marriage, which means the everyday choices that would come from that, like being loyal and faithful and making time for the relationship. Think about it. What are the fundamental choices you have made without even thinking about it? Things like bathing every day or brushing your teeth. These are things that you have made a fundamental choice and you just do without thinking. That's how powerful a fundamental choice is. Some people are vegetarians. They just don't even think of eating meat. It's not something that's an option for them. Other people exercise every day. It's a non-negotiable that they make happen no matter what. When I was pregnant, I was reading up on birth, and I came across the concept of natural childbirth. And I knew right away that was something that I identified with. I instantly made a fundamental choice that I was someone who was going to give birth with as little intervention as possible. And that carried me through a lot of resistance from worried friends and parents. But the fundamental choice that I made about having natural childbirth for the benefit of my child was enough to give me the strength to push back and carry through and make it happen. It's kind of like taking on an identity, or actually it's more like expressing an identity that's already within you. If there's something you really want for yourself, here's how you can make a fundamental choice to make that happen. There are 3 steps. First, think about the bigger picture of what you want. Think about what's underneath whatever it is that you want for yourself. For example, I wanted to have a safe birth and a healthy baby, so that was what was underneath my desire to have a natural childbirth. Next, you would identify the orientation or the perspective you would have if you were already having and doing what you say you want to do. And third, make the fundamental choice to step into that perspective and make all of your everyday choices from there. Fundamental choices allow you to embody the thing that you want. It's a little like manifesting, where you sort of feel into the feeling of already having what you want, but it's simpler. It actually makes things easier in your everyday choices. You don't have to think about it so much. And also, making a fundamental choice is a lot less punishing and constrictive. For me, a fundamental choice I am making this year is to feel good in my body. That's underneath everything that I want. It sounds simple enough, but it actually touches on every aspect of me living in myself, like my weight and getting good sleep and feeling bright and clear-headed every day. I sometimes make choices that don't always make me feel as good as I would like to feel. Making the fundamental choice to be someone who prioritizes feeling good in her body makes the everyday choices much easier. And as someone who prioritizes feeling good in her body, I am much more likely to keep after this and keep trying for it, even if I mess up a little bit. I know that feeling good in my body has a range of options here. Sometimes it feels good to be quiet and calm and drink my tea in bed and write in my journal. And other times it feels really good to work hard and push through as long as I know I can fall into bed and get a good sleep at night, which means I can't have that glass of wine in the evening because that will disrupt my sleep. I also really don't like being cold and walking outside in the winter, but I also don't like feeling stiff and lethargic. So the fundamental choice drives me to go take a walk. I have a big sweet tooth, but the truth is that sweets make my brain sort of fuzzy and buzzy, and it's just the truth. I have to kind of come to terms with that fact that sugar and sweets don't make me feel good in my body. This way of thinking in terms of a fundamental choice forces us to ground ourselves in reality. My fundamental choice of feeling good in my body sets up the expectation that I will make everyday choices that align with my priority. And it creates this internal dissonance when we make choices that don't align, which can be very motivating. And it interrupts a pattern and makes space for me to create something different in my life. So what are you wanting for yourself this year? What are the fundamental choices that you want to make to get you there? I really encourage you to try this way of getting what you want. I feel like it is so much more easeful and kind and not constrictive and punishing the way resolutions and forcing yourself to have self-discipline can be. I feel like I'm creating something new by making a fundamental choice to have something different. Because I'm actually moving toward something that I want and creating, it makes it a lot easier to give up the things that are in the way of it, like sweets. It's about creating and expanding rather than constricting and punishing yourself. If you're thinking about this and you're a journaler, I have some prompts that might help you. I've written up 25 questions, and they're not typical journal prompts. They're more coachy questions, things that I would ask my clients that help them think a little bit deeper and expand. If you're trying to figure out what your fundamental choices are going to be this year, I would highly recommend downloading these free journal prompts, and you can follow them kind of in order, or you could just pick the ones that resonate with you. I want to give a shout out to an author named Robert Fritz, who has contributed so much to my thinking on this topic. I'm going to leave a link down below so that you can see some of his books. I love the book, The Path of Least Resistance. It talks about fundamental choices and this creative process. So if this is interesting to you, I would recommend checking out his books. I'd love to hear how this works for you, and I'll see you next time.